Hey friends, Ash here with Gents today. And today I'm going over with you guys 5 different fragrances that boost my confidence every time I wear them. Technically it's actually 6 fragrances that I'm going over here, but 5 just sounds better. It makes it a better title. So each one of these fragrances is one that I really like. It's one that kind of speaks to me. Some of these are more for cool weather. Some are more for warm weather. I've got a good selection here. So it goes without saying that these are fragrances that I personally like, which is why it helps boost my confidence when I wear them. You may not like each one of these fragrances, but for me, they work very well. We've got a lot to talk about and break down with these fragrances, so let's go ahead and jump into the video. Now, as I mentioned before, these are fragrances that I like a lot. These are fragrances that work very well for me personally. Some of these, again, you may not like, but that's okay because different people like different things. And ultimately, if you like a fragrance a lot, doesn't matter if I don't like it, if you wear it with confidence, then it could help boost your confidence even further, which could make that fragrance come across even more appealing to other people. That sounded like I was talking in circles a little bit maybe, but essentially, if you like it and you don't mind how the fragrance comes across, that in turn can help the fragrance come across better to other people. Assuming that you haven't sprayed it on 15 times and you're literally choking out people around you and making them pass out, hit their heads on the side of counters and things like that because you just had absolutely no remorse and felt like assaulting everybody's nose around you with what you're wearing. Situations like that, confidence probably doesn't matter anymore. You've gone a little too far. Rein it in next time. So yeah, let's just go ahead and kick this off with this fragrance right here. Tom Ford Bonjour. I was a little bit late to the Bonjour party because I got this fragrance not all that long ago, a few months ago, I think is when I got this in. So, like I said, late to the party, but better late than never. And this one is a fragrance that I absolutely love. It's one that I can wear casually, formally, one that I can wear to the office, to business meetings, whatever. This fragrance can do it. It's got lavender, patchouli, rosemary, and geranium in here. This is a fougere barbershop type of fragrance, and it's a dang good one. This one gets compared to Yves Saint Laurent Rive Gauche, and it's definitely in that ballpark, though this one comes across with a little more density, a little more depth. It does come across off my skin, not necessarily heavy, but just like there's some real presence behind the fragrance. Forgot to mention there's also oak moss in here, which you would definitely expect from a barbershop type scent. And this fragrance, Bonjour, has been re-released in the Signature line as of this year, 2020. That's the same thing they did with Ombre Leather 16. That one is now in the Signature line as Ombre Leather. So essentially what Tom Ford is doing here is they're taking fragrances that they're releasing in the private blend line that are doing very well, that people have really taken to, and then they're saying, well, let's make that fragrance available to more people by putting it in the Signature line and taking that price down a bit. If you've wanted this fragrance, but you haven't wanted to pay the prices that private blend fragrances run, you can pick it up now in the Signature line. Or you'll be able to pick it up in the Signature line very shortly. I'm not sure how available that is in stores across America right now. Where I'm at, in a small city, it's never going to be there. So if I want it, I'll have to buy it online. They don't carry any niche fragrances or private blends or anything like that where I live. This fragrance though, Bonjour, boosts my confidence because it's such a sophisticated, gentlemanly kind of fragrance. It really puts across that presence that I know what I'm doing, I'm successful, and my fragrance helps convey that. That's the type of scent Bonjour is. Oh, and in case anybody's seeing this, yeah, that's Legends of the Hidden Temple. I'm talking about a gentlemanly fragrance while I'm wearing a t-shirt based off of an old kids game show. So yeah, you're just gonna have to trust me that that fragrance works for me in business situations, even though I don't look like it right now. The next fragrance on this list is from Yves Saint Laurent, and this one is M7 Oud Absolu. And yeah, the bottle is running very low on this one. M7 Oud Absolu is kind of a re-release of this fragrance right here, the original Yves Saint Laurent M7. This one, M7, was the fragrance that really brought oud fragrances to the designer mainstream. M7 was released by Yves Saint Laurent when Tom Ford was the creative director of the brand, and Tom Ford, of course, is the fragrance house I just talked about. So we've got a Tom Ford and then kind of a Tom Ford, but not exactly, because Yves Saint Laurent did discontinue M7, but then brought it back with Oud Absolu, though the fragrance isn't the exact same as the original M7, it's very close. Obviously, with this being named Oud Absolu and being an M7 fragrance, oud is going to be the main note of the scent. There's also labdanum and myrrh, along with orange and patchouli in here as well, and a few other notes. This one is a very wearable oud fragrance and is a great introduction to oud if you haven't really smelled a lot of oud scents. It's very wearable. The quality here is nice as well, which you would expect from Yves Saint Laurent. It's got good performance, not mind-blowing though. The original M7 here performs a bit better off my skin than Oud Absolu, though again, there's nothing really wrong with Oud Absolu. It's a great release, and you can pick this up for much less than a vintage bottle of M7. This one has some sparkle to it, a little bit of effervescence when you first spray this on, and then as it dries down, you're gonna get those resins and the oud to come out a little bit stronger. It's a fragrance that I just love. I've loved it since the original M7, and then when Oud Absolu came out, I bought that. I had the bottle style that you don't really see anymore that was black all the way down. Now you've got these clear bottles if you're going to buy them. But yeah, I went through an entire bottle of Oud Absolu, bought it again, and ended up with this one right here. It's a great fragrance for cooler weather, and if I don't want to wear the original M7 because I'm kind of hoarding it and trying to save it, I'll go for this one. Next up is a fragrance that I posted about on my Instagram not that long ago, just a few days ago actually. It's this one, Roberto Cavalli Uomo La Notte. And this is just for fun. A bunch of guys on my Instagram were like, oh, Versace Eros called, they want their bottle back, saying that this is a ripoff of the Versace Eros bottle. Shout out to you guys on Instagram that were busting my chops about that. This is Versace Eros, so let's do a quick bottle comparison. Some of you are going to think that, yes, absolutely, it looks like Cavalli Uomo ripped off Eros, but personally, I think there's enough differences that they really didn't. They're just both square. Here it is, guys, live comparison, La Notte and Eros. You'll see Eros a bit taller, different designs. There's the side of the bottle, this is a tester. And there's a good look at the back, the top of the caps, and with caps off. They do both have gold atomizers. So you guys have to vote in the comments below. Is this a ripoff of the Eros bottle or no? It's for science, we need to know. This has leather, tonka, cardamom, and bergamot as some of the notes in the fragrance. I have reviewed this in the past. It's a fragrance that I think smells fantastic. Great for nighttime wear, great for dates, great for casual wear. To me, it smells a little bit like a mix between Carolina Herrera CH Privé and Cavalli Uomo. So if you took those two, kind of mixed them together, you'd end up with this. It is a leather-centric scent, but like in CH Privé, the leather in here is very sweet. It's not one of those leather notes that comes across animalic or off-putting or too strong or anything like that. It's extremely pleasant and easy to wear. Doesn't hurt that you've got cardamom in there as well, which was made so popular from La Nuit de l'Homme, that sexy, sweet, spicy kind of vibe. You'll find that in this fragrance as well. As I said, I have reviewed this one in the past, so if you want more information, you can check that out. It's a great release, and assuming that you can find this for the price that you should be paying, it's a great pickup. The Cavalli Uomo line of fragrances typically you can find in the $30 to $40 range, sometimes even less than that. That's where you want to pick this up at. Anything 50 bucks or over, I think you're paying too much, but as long as you pick it up under 40 bucks, it's a great buy. And it's a huge compliment getter as well, if that's important to you. Next up, a fragrance that's gonna be absolutely no surprise. This is my favorite Creed fragrance. So yeah, obviously, with it being my favorite Creed, one of the very first niche fragrances that I ever bought, not a huge surprise to see this in a list of fragrances that just boost my confidence. This one right here, Creed Green Irish Tweed. Oh, it smells so good. It's got lemon verbena, it has iris, it's got violet, it's got ambergris, it's got sandalwood. That's actually pretty much it as far as the official note breakdown goes. But this one is clean, it's green, it's fresh, it's uplifting, it's refreshing. It's just an awesome fragrance. It's one that I fell in love with the first time that I smelled it. Easily worn to the office, easily worn casually. I think you can wear it formally as well. It would work in business situations because of that clean or cleanliness that it gets across. It's very versatile. For a lot of people out there, Aventis is going to be the #1 Creed fragrance. A number of other people also would say Millesime Imperial or Silver Mountain Water, but for me, it's Green Irish Tweed. As I said, first time I smelled it, fell in love with it. It does have a similarity to Cool Water by Davidoff, which is super cheap, though I will say it's actually the other way around. Cool Water has a similarity to Green Irish Tweed, since Green Irish Tweed came out first, and I've said this in a couple of videos, but every time I say that, somebody will be like, no, that's not true. You can look it up. Green Irish Tweed came out before Cool Water. With Green Irish Tweed, every time I wear it, I know I smell great, and I have absolutely no worry about how other people perceive me. I just think, wow, I smell like $1,000,000. Now, these last two fragrances are fragrances that are not as well received as the last 4 that I've talked about. These two caught a little bit of hate in the fragrance community, one of them more so than the other. This one that I'm gonna bring up now is a fragrance that I've talked about a number of times in the past as a fragrance that I like a lot. And I can't help that. I just really enjoy it. It's Pure Excess by Paco Rabanne. With Paco Rabanne, oftentimes their releases get crapped on as soon as they're announced. It's just the brand. It's probably the bottles, like 1 Million, the Gold Bar, Invictus, the Trophy. People will see those and go like, oh, it's so tacky. And then they'll go into websites like Base Notes or Fragrantica, and they'll give it a big thumbs down, even though they actually haven't really smelled it or put in any time with the fragrance. This one does have an interesting bottle design where it's got that kind of Zippo thing going on. Now, with their newer bottles, they've changed that. It no longer has this Zippo deal. The whole cap just pops off like you'll see on Pure Excess Night, which is over there, and I'm too lazy to grab it, but you'll have to take my word for it, the cap just pops off. This fragrance has a lot of sweet notes in it. It's got some booze in there as well from a liquor note. There's sugar as a note in the fragrance. There's vanilla, cinnamon, ginger, myrrh. A lot of people will say that it reminds them of a cola, like Coca-Cola when you first spray this on, because it does have this sweet effervescence to it. As well though, there's some darkness, some spices, some resins in here that come out as it dries down. To me, it's just very appealing. Nothing to me smells exactly like Pure Excess. It's its own thing. And I'll tell you guys, when I first saw this announced and I saw the advertisements for it, I didn't really have very high hopes. I thought, this is going to suck. But then when I sprayed it on, I fell in love with it. So I know a lot of people don't like Pure Excess, don't like Paco Rabanne, but when I spray that on, I think I smell amazing, and that's what's most important. And the last one in this list is the one that caught the most hate online. When this was announced, it was slagged, and when most people reviewed this on YouTube, they hated it, did not like it at all. It's this fragrance, Dolce Gabbana The One Gray. A lot of you out there are going to slag this fragrance in the comments and say you hate it, and I get that. I've read the reviews, I've seen what some people have said, but for me, when I spray this fragrance on, it really boosts my confidence, makes me feel like I can take on the world, or at least as much as a fragrance can make you feel that way. It does have tobacco, which it shares with the original The One, Eau de Toilette, and Eau de Parfum, though the tobacco here is nowhere near as prominent as in those original fragrances. There's also grapefruit, lavender, vetiver, and clary sage in here, among other notes. And essentially, this is what happens when you take Dolce & Gabbana's The One and make it into more of a casual or office wear kind of fragrance, better suited for springtime. It's got a lot more freshness in here than you'll find in the original The One Eau de Toilette or Eau de Parfum. You've also got that vetiver, which I've talked about a number of times as being an extremely versatile note in men's perfumery. For me personally, vetiver-based fragrances make some of the absolute best office fragrances that you can get. The note usually comes across very sophisticated and refined and gentlemanly. It makes you smell like you have your stuff together. And the vetiver that's in here comes across that way to me. That's the style of vetiver that this fragrance has. It's not one of those very dark, earthy, or overly grassy vetivers. Not that there's anything wrong with that type of vetiver either. So there we go, the One Gray, wrapping up this list. It's a fragrance that I think is very versatile, it's a fragrance that can pull you compliments, and it's a fragrance that is not at all challenging to the majority of people out there. Now I know people that are into fragrances as art do enjoy fragrances that are more challenging, but if you want something that everybody is going to love, that you don't have to think about at all when you spray it on, then something like that is a great choice. So there we go, 6 fragrances that boost my confidence when I wear them. Of course, there are literally hundreds of other fragrances that boost my confidence when I wear them. Essentially, if I really enjoy the fragrance and I feel like it's suited well to the situation I'm going to, that's gonna boost my confidence. But these ones here, I think are a good starting point for me personally, ones that I really gravitated toward when I thought about forming this list. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me today. As always, thanks for hanging out with me and thanks for all of your support. See you guys again tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.